Hello, friends of the Anger Management Podcast. Ari here. We have kind of an interesting episode for you. We had some technical difficulties recording the new episode, and so we decided to fill with what can easily be called our origin story. It is the first ever episode of Anger Management recorded by me and Jay back in April of 2011. It's very much a test of the show. It's very crude, not in the humor, although there's definitely some of that. But it's kind of an interesting look back at what the show was when it first started. You'll notice almost immediately that Ron is not a part of it. That's because we added Ron later. And, it's sort of devoid of a lot of the stuff that we do now, but it's different. And so we think it's kind of cool. Hope you enjoy it, and we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. Thanks. All right, so we're rolling.
Oh, all right, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna point to me or something, 3, 2, and then the 1 was silent. No, all right.
No, but it's interesting. I've been producing this show with Jared.
Yeah.
And recently I've had to actually bring that into the fold, and it's every time I think of Wayne's World.
Yeah, we were just talking about Wayne's World, so.
So this is the first episode of what I think we're still going to call Anger Management with Jay Weber.
I'm fine with that title because my name is in it.
That's true.
And I'm pretty arrogant. I'm a big fan of, self-promotion.
Sure. So, for the thousands and thousands of listeners at home, you are Jay Weber.
Yes. Usually.
On the weekends.
Well, yeah, it's a long story. Sometimes I dress up and call myself Susan, but you don't need to really know about that unless you happen to be at a certain strip club with a lot of money on Saturday nights.
So perhaps for Halloween this year, you'll go as Susan and we'll all meet Susan?
Maybe.
Or we'll do an episode with you as Susan.
I don't think I want to do that. That was all complete lies.
Sure. Okay. Sweet.
That just get too loud?
We managed to sit right underneath the speaker. I'm going to go see if I can figure that out.
Do you think they'd get mad if I just broke it?
Yeah, I do, because they just rewired it. And
okay, now the second question is, do we care if they get mad?
No.
All right, well, hold on a second.
Yeah, hold on 1 second. We'll start again.
Start again? I think we should leave it the way it is.
Okay.
And just, why not?
Well, let's at least explain that we're at a bar.
Yes.
And before we really get started with the whole point of the show, why don't we take a minute to talk about how we know one another and maybe why we're doing it at this bar, just so somebody has an idea when they're listening to it.
I think, all right, I was going to go with leaving them in the dark because I don't like other people, but we could explain it.
Well, I mean,
we met here.
We did.
It's a focal point of my life because I'm an alcoholic. It's pretty much the only place you could find me, and I'm only worth talking to if I've been drinking because otherwise I might punch you.
I think we're good with that. I think we can let that one go. I mean, I think if people can't get it from that, then
they're dumb and they shouldn't be listening.
Right. If they don't know us by now, then they'll never ever ever know us.
Yes. Like that song. I think it's never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
It's terrible.
Well, so at least we'll state with some purpose that every week, or as close to every week as possible, we're going to get together and have these chats, because what happens is naturally about once a week you and I end up having a chat here.
True.
And the chats are always really hysterical because you are a no-holds-barred kind of person.
Okay.
Well, we'll put it this way. You say the things that I think in my head.
Yeah.
Also, you say things that I would never, ever think of, and they're much funnier than I am.
Oh, stop it.
No, stop. But
you're going to something. I don't know.
Well, it's okay. If you blush, no one will know.
That's true. I was going to say you're going to make me an even more arrogant bastard than I already am, which could be bad for people in servant positions that I won't tip anymore.
Right.
And I might spit on.
Well, you got to remember to tip, the bartenders here.
Oh, well, them, yeah, they're my friends.
That's all that matters.
They keep me drunk.
Right. So, you're kind of a jack of all trades kind of guy. I mean, you do a lot of different things.
Yeah, sure.
Would you say one over the other? Would you call yourself a musician first? Would you call yourself a philosopher?
Ooh. Yeah, I think I'm a musician first. The philosophy is never on purpose.
Okay. So you just sort of come up with these very astute observations when life throws something your way.
I guess, yes.
Yeah.
I try at music. I don't try at the other stuff. So maybe that would... No, actually, I guess I'm going to have to change my answer then.
Yeah.
I am a philosopher by trade.
Right.
Or at least by nature. And a musician by hobby.
By instinct.
Yeah.
Right.
It's very odd.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, the reason why I wanted to get this show going, and I'm glad we finally had a chance to do it after we've discussed it for months, is that you have, as I started to say, this really unique way of looking at the world that's very dead on. I think your observations are really hysterical and yet very smart. And, well, I mean, the two aren't mutually exclusive, obviously. But... well, I just wanted to. I wanted to bring your voice to the masses.
I appreciate it, and just so they know, I am actually blushing now a little. I think I don't know.
See it.
I might just be red from alcohol.
It's okay.
Yeah.
At the bar lighting, you can never tell.
Yeah. Well, that's how ugly people get laid. It is. That's why the lights are dim.
That's true. That must be why we dim them whenever we're here on our Monday night DJ thing too.
Yeah.
We tend to do that one. So, as it is, actually, you and I have known each other for a few years, and we recently had an opportunity to see one another outside of this place, which is that you and I both went to Austin, Texas for South by Southwest, managed to both travel 1,500 miles, be in the same city, and still couldn't actually figure out how to get up. We were going to try to go to this absinthe bar that you ended up going to.
I did go to it. Yeah, it was awesome. Absinthe tastes weird. It tastes kind of like anise, whatever the stuff Pitt sells tastes like.
Like licorice a little bit?
What's that?
Is that like licorice?
It's a little more bitter.
Okay.
But it fucks you up, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
But it was good, and I wish you were there, but...
Yeah,
I was already drunk, and I actually, they told me, they were like, "Oh, you want to go to the absinthe bar?" And I'm like, "I have to wait for Ari." I promised him we were going to go, and Josh is like, "Well, do you have a better idea?" And I'm like, "Damn you and your logic."
That's a very logical and acceptable answer.
So I said to him, I was like, "Fine, we'll go, but I'm not going to lie, I might have to come back here in like an hour." So,
which I'm sure wouldn't have been a big problem.
Well, I was the one who had to drive the 40 minutes back to the place we were staying, so having a bunch of Jack and Cokes in me and a couple glasses of absinthe might have been a problem.
Yeah. Did they do the whole thing with the sugar cube and the spoon and everything?
Yeah, well, they when I was there last year, they did that. The problem is we had to sit at a table and not at the bar this time because it was extremely crowded when we got there, so we didn't get to see it. Normally, they explain to you all the chemical reactions. It's like sitting in a bar that's run by Bill Nye the Science Guy.
That was just the analogy I was thinking of.
Weird. Well, get out of my head.
That's
I'll punch
crazy.
you right in the face.
Okay.
I won't. There's too much expensive equipment around. I don't want to have to pay for anything.
Yeah, the sound everyone is hearing, or somebody's hearing at this point, is the sound of the bar. I don't know if I said that earlier, but we're actually recording at the bar just to get the whole feel.
And we've only run into a few problems, which we'll fix next time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not that bad.
Headphones.
Yeah, we've learned a lot in just 5 minutes.
That's weird that we have.
Yeah.
I've grown. Not really. I'm sort of incapable of it, but whatever.
So, what were you in Austin for? Why were you down there?
I was down there because my best friend's band was playing, and they needed a bass player. And I happen to be able to play bass. I'm not that good at it, but I can play it. And so I went and played a show in the hot sun that I was unaware it was going to be outside. Thanks for the heads up. No sunscreen, horribly burnt.
Yeah.
Love it.
Was it in a tent, or you were completely outside?
No, it was completely outside.
Nice.
Had it been a tent, it would have been good. I would have been scared there were clowns there because it would have reminded me of a circus, but other than that, I would have been fine.
Right. And you were with the same band last year. You were down there, right?
Yeah. Last year I played guitar, though.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, highlights from your trip? I know where you stayed was kind of its own highlight, it sounds.
Yeah, well, where we stayed was, like I said earlier, about 40 minutes outside of Austin. We were driving there at night. We'd stopped in a liquor store about 15 minutes away, and the lady was staring at us like she was going to call the cops. It worked out, but it was still weird. Turned out she was curious as to why they were smoking outside, because you can smoke in liquor stores in Texas, which shouldn't be that surprising.
I think you can pretty much smoke anywhere in Texas.
I think you can.
Yeah.
But, so we went, and this place was 40 minutes outside of Texas. We're driving on this dark country fucking dirt road in the middle of nowhere, and we were like, we're all gonna die. This literally is the opening scene of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. A bunch of kids on a country road they've never been on before. I expected the tires to pop at any moment and be attacked by mutinous creatures.
Well, that happened to us on our trip, although it was actually in Alabama, which I think was even more scary.
I believe that would be.
Yeah. Fortunately, we didn't. Obviously, I'm here, but, it was pretty scary.
Yeah. We got attacked by a pack of dogs, too. That was fun.
Right. I think I was on the phone
You were
with
on
you.
the phone. And, the suggestion was when we called the guy who lived there that wasn't there, that was supposed to be, and asked him what to do about these giant barking dogs that were literally, like, jumping at the windows and shit, his suggestion was, I don't know. I guess just get out of the car and see if they're okay. Okay. Because I'd like to get mauled by a German Shepherd based on your advice of seeing if it's okay.
Yeah, and I've seen a photo of this house. I mean, the house was pretty much out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre also.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we weren't allowed to bring any trash, or because they have to burn it. They don't have like a garbage system or anything or pickup. We weren't allowed to bring food too much because they didn't want it lying around because of wild animals and bugs and shit.
Right.
And we also weren't allowed to flush toilet paper if we happened to take a shit in the house, because apparently it would wreak havoc on the septic system. They were very, very adamant. Don't flush any toilet paper. Seriously, don't do it. Like, seriously, if you had, like, I must have been told about 18 times within the first 30 seconds of being there.
Wow.
I just didn't take a shit there.
Right. Well, again, I was down there with a band. I was tour managing for a band, and to be perfectly honest with you, they didn't either, but for completely different reasons. I just think that's like the road life. Yeah. I think for that first week that you're out on the road, bathroom stops are just not. Yeah. It's not going to happen.
It wasn't even an option. I was surprised they had running water when we got there.
Yeah. Did you end up having to burn your trash? Like, did you burn your own trash?
No. I just didn't produce any trash.
Okay.
And they wouldn't have let me because they, like, have a ritual, not a ritual, but like a system where one of them, I think they take turns, like a chore, goes out and burns the trash every morning.
Wow.
Yeah, it smells horrible.
Wow. Well, it's funny because I think you and I ended up having two completely different experiences at South by Southwest. Not to gloat, because unfortunately for me, we were in a pretty incredible house, but
fuck your face.
Yeah,
anyway.
You got kind of the. I see. There's no way to say this without it sounding like condescending, but it's not. I don't mean it that way. You got much more of an organic South by Southwest experience. You guys played a smaller venue than the band that I worked with, and I, you got the real South by Southwest feeling.
Yeah.
Where was that venue? Do you remember?
The Gypsy Lounge. It was actually this year. It was on East 6th, I think, which was a little bit outside of the actual.
Okay.
Blocked off part of the festival. Last year we played both times we played within that, but I actually like this venue a lot better.
Yeah.
It was, it was outside. It sounded pretty good. The sound guy was kind of an idiot. I think he might have just been high. I don't know. Like, there was something weird going on. The sound checks took way, way, way too long.
It was also really sunny.
It was really sunny, which I guess maybe in his, like, little tent hut thing he was dehydrated. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, it was cool. Stuff got pushed back a lot, which was a little annoying. We wound up playing like an hour and a half to 2 hours later than we were supposed to. But the show went really well, and I actually think more people saw us because we played later, which was kind of cool. Everything went well. It was only the second time the three of us had played together.
Yeah, that's a story that I it cracks me up every time I think about it. You're like the least experienced of their music, and every time, this last year as well,
Yeah.
you come into it as like, the guy that has to learn everything, and you do it on the spot basically.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fun.
It was fun.
Well, I mean, again, it's that's what I mean by the organic South by Southwest experience. I think you get something much more natural out of it when you're forced to.
Sleep on a floor.
Well, there's that.
A couch, actually. I didn't have to sleep on the floor.
I actually slept on an air mattress that had a thyroid condition.
It kept getting bigger, or it kept getting smaller?
Well, no, this was the strange thing. It was one of these. It's an air mattress. I have the worst luck with air mattresses. On every music tour I've ever been on, and there have been many of them, I always have an air mattress, and invariably it always something goes wrong. It pops, or it gets punctured by stuff rubbing up against it, or whatever. In travel.
Yeah.
Right.
Friction from whatever
Right. So,
lady or transvestite you might have taken home.
Exactly.
Maybe both.
It is
Maybe
what it
she's
is.
dressed like a man. That's fine.
Nashville's a great town, but you find some weird stuff there.
That's true.
So the thing is that this year I was trying to be proactive, and I said, okay, like I'm gonna pre-inflate the mattresses, and I'm gonna make sure that none of them have problems, because I've also, the last time I was in South by Southwest, went down there, inflated the mattress. It was fantastic, and then I woke up on the floor because it had deflated in the middle of the night. So I purposely tested the mattress, because I have several of them at home that I've collected over the years. Wanted to make sure I was bringing the right one. It didn't occur to me to really, well, I would have never noticed it, but this particular mattress, for some reason, it's the kind of thing where it had like 5 chambers. Like when you
like
look
a
at
cow's
it,
stomach.
sort of. I mean, they're not full chambers, but it's just like when it inflates, there are sort of rows, along the top.
Yeah.
One of which was about 4 times the size of the rest, and it was literally like sleeping on an angle the whole time. So when we were in Austin, I had this really strange sense of constantly feeling like I was going to fall off the bed, even though I was 2 feet from the floor. I was a foot off the floor. I had this real fear that I was going to fall off the bed. And then one of the guys that was in the tour decided to get pretty drunk one night, and he jumped up and down on the bed. And I kind of was hoping that would fix the problem, but I think it actually made it worse somehow.
Yeah,
And-
that seems like it would.
Wasn't a very good thing. Wasn't a very good thing at all. So, first of all, what's the name of the band that you were out there with?
Thunderhawk.
Thunderhawk. And did you guys get any feedback? Have you heard anything since South by Southwest?
I don't know, because I literally drove back to Indianapolis, where they're based. Well, actually, they're based in Fort Wayne, Indiana, but the airport that's closest was Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and kind of left. The few people the guys we stayed with were a band from Fort Wayne called Church Shoes. They're pretty good, and they were nice enough to let us stay in their dog pack protected
Trash burning
nightmare commune. It was really nice during the day, but at night it was fucking scary. But
Just like much of Texas.
right, yeah, But they said that it was the best Thunderhawk show they'd ever seen,
Wow.
which was pretty good.
That's great.
I mean, we played a really good show. We played a quote-unquote practice show the day after I got to Indiana, and Saturday night I went to bed not knowing what songs we were going to play on Sunday, because that's the way Josh Hall, the lead singer and songwriter, it's his band. He's
Right.
the only constant member of the band.
Okay.
That's the way he likes to do things. I'm not sure why. But so Sunday we went over a bunch of songs. He'd never played with the drummer we played that, and neither have I, obviously.
Right.
And I got to give him credit. His name's Ryan Clark. Really good drummer. Nailed every single song. At one point, Josh turns around. He's like, "Do you know Moving On?" And he goes, "Yes." Let's do it.
Nice.
And nailed it.
Nice.
And although if anyone was at the show, which, you never know, the one in Texas,
Right.
Josh did not once call the band Thunderhawk. He kept saying, "We're Stun Guzzler from Cincinnati."
Nice.
I don't know why,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, it's at a certain point, I saw some staggering statistic. There were, I think, 2,000 bands that played
Yeah.
in Austin. There was a moment when I was walking around, I think actually Thursday night.
sorry, I wasn't there.
It's okay.
I was being attacked by dogs.
It was, to be honest, it was a very strange experience just because I ended up bumping into people that I knew, and then I was with friends of mine, guys that I was on tour with, and At one point, I decided to separate from my friends because one of them had met up with a bunch of people that he knew who, to call the group of ladies that were in the group party girls is being polite.
Oh.
There was a lot of woo-hooing and shouting going on.
Well, was it spring break? Because if it's spring break, you're allowed to go, spring break, woo!
Yeah,
You're allowed.
It felt like spring break,
Okay.
only it felt like spring break.
15 years later.
And it's not just that. I mean, I think it's safe to say that the whole Austin South by Southwest environment is more on the hipster-friendly idea.
Yeah.
And I've never met a hipster that kind of thinks politely towards woohoo.
I've never met a hipster that I liked, by the way.
Yeah, it's definitely a unique vibe down there, but it happens to be that we went into the one place that actually was playing like club DJ music, where there was a guy on an actual stand. I don't know what to
Did
call
you
it.
happen to... Was that a place where some really drunk guy started dancing and taking his shirt off?
Well, I mean, it's possible.
Okay, because I was going to say, you might have seen the guitarist of the band we stayed with, because they showed us video of their night before on Friday.
It's
and,
possible.
He was... He's not the kind of person that should take his shirt
Should take
off,
his shirt
but I
off.
respect the fact that he will,
Right.
because he doesn't give a shit. I
Well,
like it.
this place. See, what happened was I took a walk and I ended up seeing a bunch of bands playing on the street, and I went to a couple of the smaller places that you didn't need a South by Southwest pass to get into, and I saw a bunch of bands, and then I kind of realized that I wanted to try to get up in the morning. I wanted to get up early in the morning, and we had walked from where our house was, which is across the river in Austin. And I knew it was going to be a long walk, so I decided to go and try to find my friends again with the woohoo girls and everything. And little did I know that they didn't actually go into that place. It was a real tease. Like, we met in front of this place. They all waited in line, which is when I made the decision to leave. And when I finally caught up with them, they were not there. I shouldn't say I caught up with them. But I had to go into this place, and it was just literally wall-to-wall people. Me pushing past people and listening to terrible music and just dying to get out of there, which I eventually fought my way out. And
Too
went
much
home.
bass drum, not enough cowbell.
Ridiculous. So when you're not driving down to Austin for South by Southwest, what kinds of stuff? I know. I have a good sense of it, but why don't you tell people some of the stuff that you're into? What makes you who you are?
I'm comprised of mostly Southern Comfort.
Nice.
Because what's your body, like 70 to 80% water? I replaced that successfully with Southern Comfort.
So you've had the transfusion.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't know, I hang out at bars, I drink, I go to movies, I watch movies at home. I'm a big movie fan.
Nice.
I read books, play music.
What's the latest thing you've seen?
What's that?
Latest movie you've seen?
Latest movie? I don't want to admit to it, so
Okay.
my girlfriend made me go see Romeo and Juliet.
Nice.
It actually wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Nice.
So
Did you see it in 3D?
no, I'm a cheap bastard, and I wouldn't spring for the 3D glasses for her. I was like, I'm being forced to watch this thing. We're not going 3D, babe. Sorry,
Well,
it's not happening. You're not worth it. Then
Nice.
she slapped me.
Well, you know.
Most of that wasn't true. That conversation never took place.
See, that's the one thing we'll have to really work in as we continue to record these episodes. Is
I'm
that,
a liar.
Well, it's not that you're. It's not
It
that.
is
It's
that I'm a liar.
It's that we have to disabuse you of the thinking that you have to tell people you're lying, because I understand there are plenty of people who have never met you who will actually think that you did say that and that she did slap you or punch you, but in reality, I mean, you know.
Yeah, who gives a shit whether it really happened or not?
And it's only 50% possible anyway, so we could just
true.
suspend belief and think that
Flip
you
a
did.
coin and decide what you think.
Right.
Jerks. Sorry.
It's okay.
I'm not, though, at all. That's the thing, is I'm not really.
No,
I kind of needed to do that.
you are this, this sort of bar stool. I don't want to sound more like I'm trying to be profound. You have this sort of barstool philosophy hat that you wear, and which is actually funny because most of the things you say to me, you're not actually sitting on the bar stool.
No, never actually.
Sort of walking around the bar,
Yeah.
but it's just so funny, and I know that it'll come out more and more as we keep taping these shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I say something a little bit about Chick-fil-A?
Please.
This has been bothering me.
Okay.
Have you ever been there?
I have not. I mean,
Okay.
I've been to them, but I've never eaten from them.
Okay. Creepiest place. I go there every now and then just to freak myself out.
Okay. Not for the food.
No, not well. The food's all right, but
Okay.
no, it has nothing to do with the food. It has to do with the fact that like you walk in there and there's this army of ants behind the counter, and they're all super friendly and weird, and it's like they go, all right, we're going to show you this training video on how to be obnoxiously nice, but first drink this Kool-Aid, and the drive-through is even worse because you go through the drive-thru and they're like, hi, my name is Pam. Can I take your order? And I'm like, all right, weird. So I give them their order and they're like, okay, Joy will be happy to meet you at the window. That's when I realized that drive-thru experiences are a lot like prostitution. I don't need a name involved. Just give me what I came for and let me get the fuck out of here.
Right.
I'll hand you your money and that's it. Like,
Which I think is made doubly more hilarious as an observation when you consider that, if I understand correctly, Chick-fil-A is actually a very Christian organization.
yes.
Yeah, there's
They will-
no food on Sundays.
No, not at all. It's weird.
Yeah.
Why would you not eat on the Lord's Day?
Well, that's the thing that I've never understood. Well, shouldn't you be making more food?
I would think so. You should be giving it to someone for some charitable purpose or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
That makes the place even weirder,
Yeah.
and I don't like it.
Well,
But the food's okay, so I'll eat there sometimes when I feel like scaring myself. Is
see,
that
that's
weird?
That's a great reason to go to get fast food, in my opinion. When again, not to harp on this point, when we were in South by Southwest, there was one night where we were up till about 5:30 in the morning, and none of us had eaten dinner, and we were trying to find a place to eat. So we pulled into this Whataburger, which, in the East Coast, like, nobody has a clue what Whataburger is. But it's basically like it's a fast food burger restaurant, but they really try to create the impression that they're family friendly, very health conscious, and yet literally everything is coated with grease. I mean, it's just so bad. And
Well, they're Italian fan. Oh, that's bad. Should I not call Italians greasy?
oh man. Well, so
It's too late.
it's okay.
I'm Italian, sort of.
Well-
Parts of me are.
Well, the beauty of that experience was that we managed to find, I guess, the one Whataburger that was like packed at 5 in the morning, to the point where I guess their shtick is that, because what I'm guessing, what I'm getting, and I don't eat at a lot of these places for dietary reasons. I can't eat there,
Yeah.
but I have definitely spent time with friends who go to these places, so I've always sort of witnessed it from afar, never really getting to taste the fruits of the labor of these people. Like, for instance, everyone's always telling me all of the trials and tribulations associated with eating at Taco Bell, but I've never eaten at Taco Bell, so I'm always like, yeah, that's
I've never eaten a Taco Bell either. I
Well-
don't like Mexicans.
what I have
They
identified.
try to sell you the same thing in different forms, and it's stupid, and I don't like it. It's
mean-
all beans, meat, and bread.
Right.
They
in
just call
different-
it something different, and they change the price. Screw that, man.
It's kind of genius, though. I mean,
Oh, I agree.
if it
On
works
their
for
part,
it.
but I'm not fooled. Is
Right.
what I'm getting at. I'm like, no, you should just be cutting my lawn and washing my dishes. Too racist?
Well, anyway, my only point was that it was at this place that I realized that really all of these places have some kind of shtick, and I never really got that before. And their shtick, I guess, is that they give you like a tent card that you're supposed to put on the table to identify your order, because they don't want you waiting online. They want you to go and sit down.
Oh, yeah, because it's not fast food.
Right, exactly. I
Yeah.
think that's they operate under the sheen that it's not really fast food. They just kind of go and do it.
Okay.
Well, the thing is that they were up to like the 300s. It was that busy, and it was really not a pleasant experience. Save for the fact that the food that we ultimately ate, and I did eat onion rings, which is a good dinner at 5 in the morning. Believe me, it's what you really want.
I guess.
Yeah.
Were we really drunk? Because I can't see it being good unless you're hammered.
I actually had quite a lot to drink.
Oh,
that
well,
night.
then you're fine.
I had a lot to drink that night, and I was not driving, which is good. Well, yeah, it just, I mean, the Whataburger experience was both fantastic and terrible, and maybe it was fantastic because I had been drinking. I hadn't really put that together, which is sad. Yeah, thank you for...
No one can see me do the double guns,
Right.
which is creepy. But that's why I do it.
Yeah.
It's really off-putting.
So, part of the thinking is, as people can hear, you had quite a fascinating rant on Chick-fil-A. And I'm not necessarily, recommending that we do a dance monkey kind of scenario here, but are there other rants that you've been storing up? I've been telling you for weeks, save the stuff for the podcast.
I know, and I keep... that was the one I just thought... I just literally just thought of that now. Like,
okay.
Because I went there the other day, and it just... That place weirds me.
It's been stewing for
like it days. Has. It's just like the food has been. Never mind. That's gross.
Nice.
But
nice.
Nah, not at the moment. I'll get back to you. I'll put it on the back burner and we'll see. And I'll probably just all of a sudden burst into the middle of whatever you're saying. Be like, I don't care what you're saying. Listen to this.
That's the way it should be.
Shut up, Ari.
It's okay. I'm used to getting that a lot, actually.
That's not good. Feel free to punch me. I don't care. If I deserve it, I'm fine with it.
If I did, though, we'd have to get the camera rolling. Like, everything for the benefit of the show is the way I see it.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Any news stories you've heard lately?
Any news
stories?
Well, the other day I was at work, and this guy I work with was talking to this woman, and she's in her, like, early 50s probably, and she was describing some place she was going to be later, and it was near this place called Double Visions, which is a strip club for anybody who might not know. So he was like, oh, you're going to be at Double Visions later? And she goes, good Lord, no, I'm not going to be at Double Visions. What would I do there? And I'm like, make it rain? And she didn't understand what I was saying, which made it a lot funnier.
Yeah, that is good.
And I was just like, I grabbed a wad of ones and threw them in the air, and she still didn't quite get it, and then I was like, now I have to clean this up. I don't know that was worth it.
So you randomly had a wad of ones on you?
I actually did. Well, it might not all been ones, but it was a wad of cash that I had. I might have robbed a homeless person. I'm not really sure what I do in my daily life.
Right.
I drank a lot, I told you.
It was a busy morning.
It could have been.
Right. Well,
I also accused the man of being so dumb that had he attacked a woman, it would have been easy to handle him because she could have just taken off her coat and thrown it over his head, and he probably would have just gone to sleep.
Nice. Where was this?
Again, at work, but at my other place in Jersey.
Nice.
This guy was weird. He was just yelling about following signs and getting in trouble.
Right. I think you were telling me this story the other day.
Yeah.
He somehow managed to get lost in a building that was well marked.
Yeah. It was. I have no words for that.
Yeah.
I'm just like, man, you are allowed to drive without a helmet or supervision? I'm really confused. That short bus that I just saw drive down the street, didn't you drop you off? You arrived in this truck by yourself?
Nice.
Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, that's always my favorite kind of person is I recently was out for a walk a couple weeks ago, and it was not a neighborhood that was particularly bad or problematic. It just was, nice
segregated.
Day. Well, I don't know, actually. I'm not really too familiar with the neighborhood,
okay.
But we'll go with that.
Yeah, well, just appease me.
Okay.
Because I'll just argue with you
sure.
and waste a lot of time.
Well, vitriol makes a lot of sense, so it's okay. And I guess my story is not really going to be all that interesting, save for the fact that as I turn this corner, there are these two cops who are shoving some guy's head into the concrete, shouting at him. It was a really, really excessive display of force in a neighborhood and in a scenario that I just couldn't understand, because there was no car. They hadn't pulled this guy out of a car. He wasn't pulled out of a house. This was in a park. And it wasn't like there were no kids around. I can't imagine what they would have been this forceful about. So the way I see it, either this guy really was the worst kind of criminal, and I actually witnessed like a serial killer getting arrested.
Really?
Or that whole idea of absolute force, just
I'm going to go absolute force.
Corrupting absolutely.
Yeah.
It was incredible. Like, I was honestly worried about doing it, but I wanted to stand there and just watch what was going on. And I'm not that guy, but I had to kind of figure out what was going on because, boy, that was excessive.
It happens. Speaking of cops and being excessive in other ways, not necessarily violent, we hit a horrible, horrible traffic jam around Dallas, I think it was. It was backed up for I don't know how long. It's probably like a mile and a half, something like that, just like crawling. We finally get up to what was causing the problem. There had been an accident, but the cars involved had been pulled well off to the side of the road and already were on flatbeds. A cop had a flat tire and was changing it and didn't think that maybe he could just ride the rim a little bit and get the fuck off the road.
So the cop was actually the reason
cop
why.
was the reason.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. I was like, never. I understand we need police officers, and I appreciate the fact that some of them put their lives at risk. Not all of them. Anyone who says you put your life at risk every day, that's kind of bullshit. Not all of them do. Some of them work in cheesy little burgs where nothing happens, so they harass kids for hanging out on a corner, or they pull over people who aren't speeding.
Yeah.
And look for some reason to give them shit.
It's true.
But some of them definitely do. So I appreciate that fact. But come on, just get out of the road. Like, be considerate to the fact that you just caused a 2-mile backup on a really hot fucking day. Not everybody has air conditioning.
No. And I mean, and Dallas is a busy city.
Very busy.
Yeah. I was actually listening to a story in another podcast on my way over here, and they were talking
cheating on us.
I'm sorry, but it was before, like.
All right, I'll let it slide. Whatever. I'm watching you, though.
I'm sorry, baby.
Be nice.
I'm sorry. It's not you.
Don't baby me now.
Okay. Well,
later.
It was one of these things where, as I was listening to this story, it really, it's in line with what you were just saying. It was about a guy. He was talking about this drug problem that he had, and he was talking about getting stopped by the cops. And I was gripped with this thought that, like, man, I get the idea of protecting and serving, but this guy was of no danger to anybody but himself. He wasn't driving a car. He was literally walking down the street looking sick, and a cop stopped him. And primarily because he happened to have track marks on his arm, but he wasn't holding any drugs. But the cop was not really helpful at all. He was really very antagonistic, according to the story. And just the thought that occurred to me was, what a waste of tax dollars. Like, if you want to really help someone in that situation, maybe help them. Maybe help, try to put them on a better path, not try to threaten to throw them into jail because they're sick.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess making that point.
It's annoying.
Yeah.
Not the point.
No, I understand what you mean.
Yeah.
Incredible.
You'll know when I'm calling you annoying.
I know. That's true. I'm sure I would know. I'll share quickly a story that I had. I was telling you a little bit about this the other day, but the story cracks me up. When we were on our way down to Austin, we did a huge drive. We did about 3,500 miles of driving in 5 days, 6 days. And we stopped in Nashville on the way down to Austin, and then we stopped in Birmingham on the way back up to Philadelphia, which is where where we're from. And at one point, I was at this rest stop, and it must have been 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I walked in, and there was the woman there was like one woman that was working there, and she had the radio on, and the radio was playing this rehabilitation program. It was like some radio host who's, I guess, his whole show is to talk about drug rehabilitation and alcohol rehabilitation. This particular show is about a guy who had trouble dealing with alcohol.
I already don't like this guy.
Yeah, this is not your kind of show. And it was really incredible because, my hope is that if this woman was the one that needed the inspiration from the show, she was getting it. Because otherwise, I can't imagine why anybody would play that. Because there's thoroughly nothing as depressing as hearing a show about somebody talking very, very somber and soberly about their addiction problems at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning at a rest stop. And I wanted to throw my head through the wall in the bathroom. It was painful.
Yeah, it's only funny when people are talking about addiction when they're not sober.
Yeah.
And they're giving this guy speeches. Those are my favorite, by the way. You
Yeah.
ever get one of those? The best is when the guy doesn't even know you. They walk up to you and they put their arm around you and they're like, this guy, I love this guy. He's great. And then they're like trying to get chicks to hook up with you. They're like, this guy, he's awesome. Like, and you're like, who the fuck are you, dude? And I thank you for. She's not that attractive. That one that you're drunk for that one, but that one, yeah, all right, bring her my way. Like, I don't know. I love this guy's speeches. That was a weird story. I don't apologize, but whatever.
Well, you want to tell us that story?
That was it.
Oh, that was the whole story.
I was just asking if you've ever gotten one of those.
I haven't. To be honest,
you ever witnessed one?
I haven't. The only kinds of stories that I have where someone has come up completely unsolicited and given me personal advice or something to that nature was when I used to work in retail. I would occasionally have people who would come in and they would seem very friendly and very just very open-minded kind of customer. I mean, I was selling electronics. It's not like I was trying to sell them food. I don't know. And every once in a while, I'd get someone who would come in and give me this pitch about how I was going to hell because I was Jewish, and well, I am Jewish.
Yeah.
And it really, it's the only kind of, intervention, quote-unquote, conversations I've ever been privy to.
You know what you should say to them? You should be like, well, if it wasn't for my people condemning your Lord, you wouldn't have been saved, asshole.
Yeah, I guess that's a good one. I mean, the thing is, it would have been helpful to have known that ahead of time because I always got floored by it. Like, I would stand there flabbergasted, just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say to these people. And again, my problem is not from a standpoint of being religiously intolerant. It was just way to completely insinuate your opinion into my day-to-day life when we weren't having a religious conversation at all. That's the part that always cracked me up.
So I guess just from your name or something, they knew you were Jewish? Okay.
I think there was that. I mean, there's always been, my whole life, people have either confused me with The Little Mermaid, which is ridiculous.
You do not look like a mermaid.
No, not at all.
You lack gills.
Yeah.
And fins.
Yeah, I don't have that green thing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
You have legs. You walk on... Well, maybe when she got legs to walk on... Never mind.
Right. She obviously is Ariel, the Little Mermaid.
Yes.
As opposed to me, Ariel, who of course I had my name first, but nobody ever wants to hear that. Well, I was always confused with either her or...
Actually, technically you didn't, because that story was written...
That's true, except that when Hans Christian Andersen wrote that story...
It wasn't Ariel.
It was not Ariel.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I know.
Way to research that before I could call you out on it.
Big win there. It hasn't really helped at all.
No.
The funny thing is there was probably, I would say, 10 years' time where it stopped, and it was great. And I've noticed, actually, in the last few years, it started up again. People have started asking me if my name is connected to that movie at all, and it's... God, I just want to punch them in the face.
I can't even... So you work with a lot of mentally handicapped children? I'm confused. Like, how does someone...
I don't know. I have
notice
no
I said
idea.
mentally handicapped and not retarded because even I've got lines that I will cross, just not right now. So shut up.
Nice. I don't know, man. I mean, it's, I guess to say I've been accused of being named after her is not... It's obviously a playground kind of joke, but...
Yeah, but...
And none of this has been made any better by the fact that Jeremy Piven was cast in Entourage with the name Ari, and now everyone looks at me and they go, "Oh, like Ari from Entourage," and I'm just like, "No, I'm not a douchebag, and I don't have nearly his amount of money." But if you think about it, I probably have more money than he does because he's a fictional character and I'm real. It'd be nice to at some point get the reference to a name of someone who is actually real and not a fictional character.
I could change my name legally. It's only like $35 and some paperwork.
Wow, that's
I don't
it?
really know that you'd want me as the reference, though.
Well, I mean, it'd certainly be more comforting than to be compared to a small children's animated film character or a complete douchebag on television. But you win some, you lose some, I guess. It's weird. At one point, and this is a strange comparison to make, when I was a journalism student, there was the press secretary for George W. Bush in his first few years was named Ari. He was Ari Fleischer. Now, I hated that guy. But, I mean, to live in a world where someone goes, "Oh, Ari," like Ari Fleischer, press secretary from the White House, at least that I would have kind of been like, yeah, all right.
Yeah, that'll work.
I'll take that one.
My name's Jason. I get Voorhees all the time, but I kind of like that.
Well, yeah, that's.
I claim that every Friday the 13th, it's the only time I can legally kill someone if I wear a hockey mask.
Right.
And I don't know that that'll hold up in a court of law, but I also don't know that it won't. So.
And I'm sure one day, given the opportunity, you would actually try it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, if you had the chance.
You're talking about people randomly coming up to you. I used to smoke. I don't anymore.
Okay.
But the most annoying thing ever is when you're smoking outside of a store or something and someone comes up and decides to tell you that it's not good for you or that you shouldn't do that. My answer usually was, they'd be like, you shouldn't smoke. I'd be like, well, if you've got a quicker and more enjoyable way for me to get cancer, I would like to hear it. And see, this had a twofold effect. One, they would look at me, and I could see the thought process. Not only does he know he's going to get cancer, it seems to be his goal. And you can't really say anything to that.
Yeah.
So they just walk away with their tail between their legs. One time, some fat lady said it to me, and I'm like, well, I don't tell you not to eat, like, dozens of donuts every day and that obesity is bad for your health, because it fucking is. I didn't feel the need to point it out to you until you pointed that out to me, so have a nice day.
And you actually said that to her?
Oh, yeah.
And how'd that go over?
She looked really angry and that she might cry and then walked away, and I laughed hysterically.
I have this picture of you,
and I may or
actually.
may not have flicked my cigarette at her. I don't think I did that.
Oh,
I think
wow.
I thought about it,
Right.
but then I was like, she might be really greasy and combust. So
Wow.
maybe I shouldn't add setting on fire, like, arson to this list of horrible things I've done recently.
It is like an insulting Rube Goldberg, to use an expression, something we were talking about before we even started recording. Like, I have this picture of you walking somewhere, this woman stopping you to tell you this, you stopping, saying your piece, and then she just kept going.
Yeah.
Like this, this force of nature that just,
Yeah.
you can't argue with it.
She probably went home and cried, possibly killed herself, but, that's one less person to take food away from starving children now.
That is true. You can't argue with that.
You could, but it's pointless.
Yeah. Yeah, you are quite quick with the responses. You're a very fast, I not to sound esoteric, but I know the French sort of have this concept
Nobody
of...
likes French people.
There you go. This concept of remembering the thing you wanted to say, but only after the opportunity presented itself.
Yeah.
L'esprit d'escalier, as I believe they call it. But you...
I thought the only thing I know I believe it's pronounced ménage à trois. That's the only
That's the only
French
thing you
that I know.
Right.
Yeah.
That and the kissing, I'm sure.
That and freedom fries,
Well, how can you possibly not know freedom fries?
which are Belgium.
Actually, believe it or
Dicks.
not, when we were in Texas, we found a place that sold freedom fries. They had them
Oh my
marketed.
God!
Yeah.
Did you order some?
I did not, because
would've.
I actually have ordered freedom fries. There's a one of the places in Philly, the famous cheesesteak places. I think it's Geno's.
Okay.
Geno's is a very, very, very patriotic establishment. They have all kinds of to call it propaganda might sound mean, but let's go with that. And
Yeah, whatever.
It's all over everything. and-
Propaganda isn't necessary. That's the connotation people have given it.
Right,
Like,
that's true.
It's a word that means exactly that.
That's true. Well, yeah, and I was there last summer again it's weird. I don't really eat a lot of fried foods, but I'm apparently, when I'm drinking, that's the food choice.
Yeah, that's everyone's.
Yeah.
That or pancakes.
Yeah, I've never
I don't
done
know
that.
if they're I don't know how to make a pancake. I
There's-
just realized that, and it's sad.
Well,
I mean, I know. I don't. No, that's not fried. It's just like a griddle.
yeah, it's griddle.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I was one night when I was particularly inebriated with a friend of mine, and sure enough, we were waiting in line, and I had never been to Geno's or Pat's. Again, it's a dietary thing. I had never eaten any food from there before, and my friend swore that we had to go. He had to treat me to fries or something, and we're waiting online, and I was initially kind of gonna say no, and then I saw the sign, freedom fries. It was like $3.75 a cup, and man, freedom is not cheap, but it's delicious.
Yeah, exactly. If
Yeah.
only they had freedom fries in like the pre-1860s.
It'd be a completely different world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, all that cottonwood had to pick itself. The thing I don't understand. Never mind.
No, please.
They still use slaves after the cotton gin. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Cotton gin is not what you think.
Yeah.
It's not alcoholic.
No. It was Eli Whitney, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A weird guy obsessed with peanuts.
Was
No,
he
that was
obsessed
George
with
Washington
peanuts?
Carver.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Eli Whitney. No, he invented interchangeable parts as well.
Okay.
Which no one uses for some reason. because it's not fiscally sound to use interchangeable parts, because then anybody can fix anything.
Right. It's good that middle school to early high school education is really working well for us in this conversation.
Right? That's weird. It's this and Jeopardy, but, I hate Alex Trebek with a burning passion.
Really?
I want to punch that smug Canadian bastard right in his face.
Why?
Dude, he's such a pretentious fuckface. Okay. He goes, you get an answer wrong, and he's like, oh, well, that was, of course, the War of 1812. Oh, of course it was, written on that fucking card, dick.
Right.
And I know that's, a given joke that he's got it written on the card or whatever, but he's an asshole about it, and it bothers me. It's like sometimes he's too big a prick.
Right.
It's like, I know you've been on this show for 20-some years or whatever, but, like, you're not really that cool, dude.
Do you think he's learned things from doing the show? Do you think he retains that information?
Yeah, I actually do, because supposedly to get that job, they actually had to play the game.
Okay.
Like, they picked the most knowledgeable out of the most, I guess, TV-worthy candidates.
Sure.
So he did, he got there on his own knowledge and all that kind of shit. It's just, don't be an asshole. Like,
right.
No one cares if you can correctly pronounce everything in French.
Right.
You're a dirty Canadian. No one likes you.
I guess it's also kind of the chips are stacked, or the deck is stacked against you, as the expression would go, when in reality, he already has the answers. I don't just mean because it's on the card, but I mean, like, the whole Jeopardy concept I've never really understood. To start with the answer and then figure out what the question is.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Merv Griffin.
Yeah, that guy. I mean, it used to crack me up. My grandparents were huge fans of that hour, the Jeopardy Wheel of Fortune hour, and I grew up with that.
I can't stomach Wheel of Fortune.
Well, these days I don't understand any of
Pat
it.
Sajak's creepy, and Vanna White's a robot.
Yeah. She definitely is, but not a robot that you enjoy.
Well, I might enjoy her. She's pretty foxy.
Right. Right.
I'm just saying, she hasn't aged ever. She's like Dick Clark.
Well, neither has Pat Sajak, from what I've seen.
He started to.
Yeah.
Like, the years of drinking are starting to... I'm convinced that guy's an alcoholic.
He's got to be, right?
And he's creepy. Have
Yeah.
you watched it recently?
No.
Like, anytime there's a remotely attractive female contestant, he's, like, all, like, right up against them and, like, rubbing on them and putting his arm around it. It's like, it's blatant. It's like, dude, that's the shit you do off camera.
Right.
Where they can't prove it. You don't do it on camera where they can sue you.
Well, I'm guessing that after all this time, Vanna White's just so happy to not be that person. I'm sure he's moved on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Wow.
true. What an awesome job. I think that's how she keeps her. Apparently there's something in turning letters and now just touching them.
Yeah.
That motion keeps your arms incredibly fit.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have, like, a lot of older women, because she's got to be 50
I would guess so.
at least. And a lot of older women, no matter how good they look, they have to start working out so much that they get really muscular so that
Right.
they don't get anything flapping around. She's not that muscular.
Right.
And she doesn't even have the old, like, the hands, how you can always tell the age by the hand. She doesn't even have that. Don't ask why I know this.
Yeah, I was going to ask. You know an awful lot about Vanna White.
I don't know why, because I don't even really watch the show. I do occasionally, but, like, whenever my sister visits my parents, and when I used to live with them, she always watched it, and I was just always fascinated by how Vanna White looks exactly. The only thing that's changed is her hair.
Right. Well, I mean, all I know is I'm pretty sure that I made the conscious decision to stop watching this. See, it was the kind of thing where everyone in my household watched it, so I didn't know I had a choice. And then one day, I think the conscious decision was born out of the fact that they took the spinning letters away. And to me, it was like, if she's not going to spin the letters, if she just has to walk out and touch them...
She better start wearing something skimpy or I'm out of here.
Well, see, I'm sad to say I might not have even put that one together in my own head.
That's fine.
But in truth, I mean, that was the moment, because to me, even at that, I couldn't tell you what age that was, but even in that moment, I remember thinking, if all it takes is someone to touch them, why can't the board just light up and show the letter on its own?
Well, you got to have the eye candy. It's the sex appeal factor.
Right.
I think.
And
maybe.
The fact that they haven't replaced her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, she wasn't the original one. Don't ask again why I know this. I read it once, and it's stuck in my brain.
Yeah. In your History of Wheel of Fortune book that you read all the time?
Well, I hate you, but yes. No, I looked up Pat Sajak on Wikipedia once because I was trying to figure out how long he'd been doing that show. Because I was betting someone that he had been doing it longer than I'd been alive.
Okay. Has he?
I don't. Technically, yes.
Okay.
But kind of not. I don't remember exactly the circumstance, but there was something where like there was a season or two, but they weren't like full seasons or something like that.
Okay.
And I think it's about as long as I've been alive, but slightly more, which
Right.
is kind of crazy.
And so she was not the original letter
No, there
model?
was a girl for like 1 or 2 seasons before her. And
Wow.
Then her, yeah. Again, don't know why I know that.
During our lifetime.
No, possibly not. I think the show began in the very, very late 70s, like 79 maybe.
Wow. Let's go to Wikipedia and look it up. Just so
Oh,
we
yeah,
know.
let's prove me wrong or right. Wikipedia's a pack of lies, dude. You do realize that.
Well, see, I was actually thinking of Wikipedia just when we were discussing the idea of Jeopardy. I mean, in a Wikipedia world, how is Jeopardy still relevant when you can just go to Wikipedia? I don't know.
I don't know. It's popular among Mormons. Ken Jennings. That asshole gave like 1/3 of his winnings to the church. What a dick.
But that's what everybody's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's stupid. If you're gonna, don't give it to your church who probably doesn't need the money. If you want to do that, give it to a charitable thing. Like,
Right.
give it to, I don't know, Hookers Without Homes, or I don't think that's real, but it should be.
Yeah. Well, here's the
The
interesting
Red
thing.
Cross, I don't know.
And I use the word interesting lightly.
God.
According to Wikipedia, apparently Wheel of Fortune was actually a daytime show.
Yeah, that's what.
And that's in that version. It's been around since 1975, but that was only till it looks like 1989. No. It was actually a daytime show much longer.
I knew there was something weird. I don't know.
It's crazy. But the two of them, Pat Sajak and Vanna White, have been doing this every year for 28 years.
That's how old I am.
That's how old I am. Incredible. Wow. Well, it goes to show you that I guess game shows and longevity are maybe one and the same.
Oh, yeah. Game show is much more likely to last long because you don't have to write anything.
Yeah.
Well, you do to a point, but like you don't have to keep it interesting.
Well, certainly not with Wheel of Fortune. There's
Yeah.
just a lot of spinning wheels.
Yeah.
I mean, to think how many times they must have repeated their answers, their clues at this
Yeah,
point.
they probably have like a 5-year course.
Right.
And then no one's going to remember that except
Yeah.
for like Dustin Hoffman from Rain Man.
Right. And he's not allowed on.
No, but he was an avid Wheel of Fortune watcher, if you remember.
I do. And gambler.
And Jeopardy.
Yeah. Well, considering that we're almost done recording the first episode of this bizarre mashup of conversation and opinion, you haven't-
Everything I say is fact.
that's true.
Yeah.
Even when it's not.
Yeah, especially when it's not.
I actually wrote a story recently where I started that line. I started off with that line about everything being true, even the parts I made up. And man, if that isn't the definition of my life on a day-to-day basis.
I have a saying, I'm always right, except for when I'm wrong.
Yeah, there you go.
It's similar.
Well, we know because I said it a little earlier ago that I obviously cheated before I really had a chance to with a podcast. Do you listen to podcasts at all? Is this
I'm not even sure what we're doing.
nice? That's what you want to hear.
I was told show up, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
I can only handle very simple tasks.
Well, I think the good news is that we did manage to get Southern Comfort's name in the first episode, so that we know who to focus on for sponsorship when the show
Exactly.
becomes incredibly successful.
And by the way, that's me drinking Southern Comfort.
yeah,
I will drink it on the show always.
yeah,
So if they could figure out a way to get me more for free, that'd be awesome.
yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do. Alcohol companies have a little bit of cash to spend.
Usually.
Yeah.
Dude, they have a lot of my cash.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the good news is at least you picked a good one. I mean,
Right.
There's that.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
It makes you stronger and fly
Yeah.
and run faster, I'm pretty sure. Beat tall buildings and it too far?
I guess I should start drinking it then. I mean, I've had it many times before.
I think everyone should start drinking it. I think
Yeah.
they should start giving it to babies in bottles. Nothing bad could come from that.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm an avid whiskey drinker, and but I'm pretty.
Well, let's throw Jameson in there too. It's a great whiskey.
Yeah.
Jack Daniels, they've all got money.
That's true. Jack's got some money. A big fan, and Jack is my drink of choice.
Oh, okay.
But it's bizarre recently.
I mentioned them earlier too because I had Jack and Cokes.
You did.
I didn't. A lot of places don't have Southern Comfort in the Midwest and the South.
And the South, which is weird, right?
Right. It's extremely weird. Apparently, they don't need to be comforted. I don't really know why.
I guess not. That was where I was. There was one bar I went to where they actually didn't have Jack in Nashville. Didn't have Jack, so I had Wild Turkey, and
that's pretty good.
It is, but I forgot that Wild Turkey makes me want to die.
Oh yeah, that's always a problem.
Yeah, I imbibed, and then I was, ooh man, that burned, and not in a good way. I was not feeling good after that. Yeah.
Wild Turkey has money too, though. I can drink it.
That's true. That's true. And eventually, at some point, I'm sure I'll share a drink. But for now, since I have to man the computer,
one of us should stay sober.
I guess.
I'm not drunk, officer.
I guess that's sort of boring, but it's tough work. But somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Well, do you have any last-minute things to bring up? Any impressions from this experience, this first experience? I mean, you learned so much in the first 5 minutes. Now that we're an hour into it.
We learned that you have a problem with air mattresses that have Graves' disease.
I do,
and that's kind of horrible.
I do.
It's not a fun disease. What else did
Especially
we learn?
not in a mattress.
We learned that I advocate children drinking.
Yeah. Well, not children, babies.
Babies. Well, babies are small children.
I know, but there's an even greater distinction when you call them babies.
Yeah, it's much worse if they're babies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like people coming up and telling me not to smoke.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you do like telling them to stop eating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, she was fat, and that's not my problem.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's actually been our first episode.
Yay!
We're at the hour mark, including our little technical difficulties at the beginning. We'll sort them out for next week.
Yeah, headphones will be good.
Yeah. We'll make sure to bring you a pair of headphones next week. Okay. Well, I think next week we'll probably get a little bit more into the anger management side of why we're calling this thing anger management.
Okay.
This was more just, conversational management with Jay Weber for this first episode.
I wasn't too angry.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'll sign off. I'm Ari Halbgram.
I'm Jason Weber.
And thanks for listening.
The show you have just heard was produced by Ari Halbgram and Podlandia Productions. Visit podlandia.com for more information and to check out some of our other great shows.